Hello, everyone. Today, we are joined by an extraordinary guest, Nidhie Saagar, who's been in the field of past life regression for so many years. And she has helped numerous people with the healing and transformation. She is a certified past life regression therapist, and she also runs an organization called Key to You. And I am so excited, and I really welcome her to this podcast. I know this is going to be an awesome podcast. Welcome, Nidhi Didi.
Thank you so much, Parul. Thank you for all the nice words that you've said about me. And it's actually a great space to be. And when we begin to have interactions of this nature, it tells you that somewhere you are in a space of making a difference to the lives of others, by virtue of which sometimes we are called therapists. But I guess uh, going by the going by the word, what I actually call myself mostly is a facilitator, because I believe truly that healing or whatever processes go on therapeutically happen when this shifts inside. So a person like me only facilitates the shift here, and the healing and the therapy beautifully happens. Having said that, thank you for inviting me into your lovely space, Parul. It's going to be a nice discussion. I'm quite sure of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for being part of this discussion because I've been like kind of reading a lot about, eostatic stuff, spiritual stuff. So past life come up a lot.
Yes.
So for me, and I know that you've been doing this for so many years and you've helped so many people. So, but what kind of started this all? I mean, like, where did this journey begin?
You know how it says that clarity is preceded by confusion. So in my life, there was a time of great confusion. I was at literally loggerheads with my own self, where I didn't understand what I was doing in life. So these are the profound questions. Only later on, I realized that this is a very profound question that everybody is looking for an answer to, as to who am I and what am I here for? Because I've been a part of a corporate organization. I've been in the corporate industry for a while, and I would go to work. I would experience, there were great experiences that I had during that work as well. But there was something which started to nag me from within, beyond the point I did not understand what I was doing over there. And is this something that I would want to continue for how many years? Something that brings me money, that's my source of income. Yes, it is. But somewhere it felt within me, not the kind of work, but within me, I started feeling shallow and hollow. And I
Hmm.
really did not understand or was not able to relate with it. So I fell down in my own life, in my own self. That is when I came in contact with our school group, and one of my schoolmates asked me, generally in over a general conversation, what are you doing? And what are you interested in? And that is when I realized that although I did not think that I was spiritually very in line or in tune, what was happening to me is from, I think, about the early 2000s, I started to get very interested in books which are of the nature of past life regression. So I encountered Dr. Brian Weiss's book back then, Many Lives, Many Masters, and it really shook me. It pretty much all that I thought was real was just snatched away from me after reading that book. I got
That
very confused. Is that something that happened with you as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got very confused and I did not understand what was happening, because everything that was backed by science, of course, science has backing and therefore there are proofs, but there is much beyond certain things which are not explained by science, or science is not yet there. I feel it's growing, but it's not yet there. And there are so many things or questions which pop in your mind which really don't have any answers in the real tangible world that you see around you. So as I got more and more inclined into reading such stuff, interestingly, as I look back now, I would come across documentaries on TV. I would come across more and more books which were putting me and sending me in that direction. I guess that is where the internal conflict started to arise within me as to there was a thing that I was doing, but there was something else which I was getting inclined towards, and I still did not understand that I was getting inclined towards it. So going back to that conversation that I was having with my one of my schoolmates, she asked me, "What are you interested in?" And I said, this is what interests me because it gets me thinking. And I somehow just get it. You know, the theory
Mm.
of karma, etc. I just get it scientifically or I'm not scientifically speaking, but मुझे समझ में आता है. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. So she said, okay, now that you quit your job, etc., let us attend a workshop. So I was very averse to the idea of spending money at that time. I felt I felt that, there are certain amount of savings. That is all I have. I'm yet to understand what I need to do with my life. I've said bye-bye to a side of me, which was bringing me the income. Now I have only savings to think of until I take something on. That was when my sister mentioned to me the a word called investment. Of course, we understand investment as to what we need to do with the money in the bank, but we seldom think about investment with our own selves. So that is when I realized that anything that I have done so far will only be able to give me what it has gotten me so far, right? So
Mm.
if I want to do something different, then I would need to learn something different. So the input needs to change for the output to become different. I do not still understand whether this would become a line of career for me, but at least I felt that the understanding needs to go deeper. And that is when I delved into learning more and experiencing more because up until now, my knowledge is only theoretical. So there
Mm.
was an opportunity for me to attend a workshop and by Dr. Jain, and she later on became my teacher also in this field. She's one of the best known people for past life regressions in India, and I mean for years she's been into this field. So there was a program that used to be aired on TV by the name of Raz Pichre Janam Ka.
Yes, yes,
To,
definitely.
to say that in English, the secrets of lifetimes that have existed before this one. So
Mhm.
that is the serial which I used to be hooked on to and used to watch. But
Mm.
and I would wonder, sometimes while watching the serial, what would it be like for me to meet such a person in my life? And it so happened that I didn't realize whose workshop I was getting into. I was just so lost that even the name did not register to me when my friend recommended that we attend it. And I went and attended and I saw the same face as the teacher sitting over there. So that is when my journey began. And that is when the theory met an experience. That is when I experienced certain past lives myself, which was very difficult for me to even fathom. But
Wow.
when I met a previous lifetime, that's when I realized this is not just theory. It's not just in books. It is it is an experience. So we are not just here only this time. It's not a YOLO. It's many
Uh-huh.
lifetimes that you lived before and you will live, continue to live. So that's my advent into it.
I'm getting like goosebumps when you said, I had these lifetimes. I was like, oh my God. I
Yeah.
think this is divine intervention, I think. And it's like, when you find your purpose, you just know it. I mean, there is no logic, I think, in the world
Yeah.
that can actually guide you to doing this. You just want to do it.
Mm,
Not because you have to, but just because you want to. And
mm,
the second thing is you kind of get it. Like you said, I just got it. So it was like, I think you might have done this in your previous lifetimes. I'm just guessing. We're going to learn more about that. But, and yeah, Dr. Tripati
yeah.
Jain,
Yeah.
yes. I also kind of, watch her like podcasts and things like that.
Mm.
And she's such a kind woman,
Oh, very,
so kind.
very, very kind.
So I think that, she was like a big influence on you, you can say,
Oh,
like
yes.
in this, you got to learn from the best.
I got to learn
I,
from the best. It's a different thing of what I learned from her. But what she made me believe was the belief in me. She restored my faith in me. I mean, that is the best thing that has happened. I keep telling her that each time I meet her. that the I was just so lost. I did not know what direction to take. It's a very dark space sometimes. I'm
Yes.
sure a lot of people who are listening to this would understand what a dark space means, like as far as a person or a soul is concerned. What is called the dark night of a soul is a very difficult time that comes to you. But what I realize is that that time is essential. Also, that time is essential because darkness and light, you begin to understand what you can do, what you can't do, what you can what changes you can bring in your own life to go back into the light, because we sometimes take light for granted,
Yes.
and it's only when times such as this come, we begin to understand that there is more, there is not just this much, and these are needed also because I feel in my own looking back at my own um, the time that I was with the corporate, I realized that there were a lot of instances which were giving me an insight to go a different way, and I wouldn't.
Oh,
Go a different way, and I wouldn't. They were nudges of different nature. Okay, learn something more, and I wouldn't, because I felt as mostly now this is changing a lot, but that was a time I felt that once your formal education is over, you're in the space of work, and you
mm-hmm.
focus on work.
Yes.
And whatever you learn parallelly on job is what adds on to your knowledge base. But seldom do we make an effort to go back to school. And
Yes.
this is where I realized it's very important to continue to invest in your learning journey. And well, yeah, it created a different person out of me altogether.
That is awesome. That is great. So, just to kind of continue further, if for the newer viewers who don't know what, past life regression is, or what what facilitation of past life, means. So, can you just kind of give us a brief introduction as to what this is and what it encompasses?
Yeah. So past life regression is regress. All right. The word regress means going backward, progress and regress. We are, when we say regression, when we think about a memory, it's like a spontaneous regression into a past of a current life. Memories are
Oh.
what? Memory is not the current space. Memory is a spontaneous regression into something which has already happened. Um, Past life regression is a regression into a lifetime which has happened before the current lifetime, or lifetimes which have happened before the current lifetime. So that means mm, there is something in us which has lived before, and
Mhm.
something in us that will continue to live. What that something is our soul.
Mhm.
So, in just the way that we change clothes on a daily basis, our soul changes bodies on the lifetime basis. So, if you were
Mhm.
to stretch the timeline of this and look at it from a soul's perspective, if you widen it a bit from your
Mhm.
perspective, it's your daily life. You could be in one place one time, then you could migrate to another place another time. So in your lifetime, you'll have a lot of stories to tell about your own self. So they will
Mhm.
be like these junctures. So similarly, past lifetimes have happened for the soul. There's a particular reason why the soul is on this journey, and that is for the evolution of the soul. So human experiences are
Mhm.
said to be, let's say, experiential learning aspect, the experiential learning aspect for the soul.
Ah,
The soul has
yes.
an option to theoretically learn. I don't think we need to get into the definition of what a soul is, or
I
what
think you can definitely
even
uh,
can be.
make that
I'm
bit
sure we
about.
can take it as a given that each one of anybody who's listening to this would understand what soul really means. So the soul has an option to learn theoretically, but
Mhm.
could be a very long journey to learn theoretically. So Earth becomes that school, or
Mhm.
an incarnation into a life form becomes that experiential learning where the growth of the soul becomes faster. So
Mhm.
it's not necessary that we are only humans. We can be incarnating into other life forms also. Could have.
Wow, that is definitely very, very interesting. Like, not only being human, you can be like an animal, you can be a plant, you can be anything.
Any
So,
element of nature, stone, maybe,
wow.
air,
that-
maybe.
So Is there a difference between like when you regress people, is it like the meditation aspect of it? Like do you like how do you go about, like someone is saying that, I want past life regression. So is everyone a candidate for that? Or would you kind of, recommend that if you have these kind of things, this is definitely something you should try?
Correct. Is everyone a candidate for that? I'd say no. Some it requires for you to have a basis of it, a basis of an understanding, a possibility that these things will not sound too bizarre to you, and there
Mm.
is an acceptance. Because only when we approach this space with acceptance would it work. I've been a biggest skeptic in my own life, so I understand that there are non-believers who would completely shun such conversations. I would have done that myself at a certain time. I would have done that. So there is a certain shift that has happened within me. Only that has made me understand these things. So a level of awareness and understanding is needed. Who is a great candidate? Anybody who wants to find out more about life. So how do we want to find out more about life? There are two ways of it. One is curiosity, and one is a why being, a pain that's going on in life, which generates a constant nagging question of why is this happening to me? And generally, the belief around karma is, or the theory is that we are being punished.
Yes.
So, just to continue to answer your question, when I say curiosity, I feel that there are so many people who know about this, right? So many people who are aware. Not everybody would would have an inclination to want to know more about, say, a previous lifetime. A lot of times, people say we are not able to handle this life only. Why should we be getting into the demons of the past? So that is fair. So it's not a compulsion with people. It's not something. It's something when you feel like doing it from within. How I say feel like doing it from within, because I never approached it because of a problem. I had read so
Mm.
much about it that there was this inherent curiosity within me that when I wanted to experience it for myself, I did not have any problem per se in mind.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I was curious, and in that curiosity led me to finding more, researching, going within my own self more, and thanks to the way universe designs things for you. And I do believe that when you are ready, the teacher appears. So
yes.
that's exactly what would have happened. The other reason where people would approach it is also because of problems. When they're not able to deal with certain things in life, and there is just no reference as to what is happening in their life, everything is going downwards, and they're just not able to handle or put a finger on it. It could be in space of finances, it could be in the space of relations, could be in terms of health. All of these things that bog you down, and that is when you've tried and tested just about everything. This then becomes one of the resorts that people resort to finding out what if,
Yeah.
and can I get to know something. So
Mm.
these are the people who would actually become the ideal candidates for it.
All right. So, like we are on the candidate profile. So, would you mind sharing, like, what was it like when you did this for the first time? I know if I'm doing something for the first time, I would definitely be nervous, and especially something like, past life regression, where you don't even know what's going to come up. It's
Correct.
like just like, open waters. So, what was it like for you, and what type of transformation happened with that particular person, if you can share something.
The first time when I ventured into it, I was only excited. I I don't know whether nervousness is something that is a very familiar feature for me. But
Mhm.
as far as this particular thing is concerned, when I went into that space of that workshop, I don't remember nervousness at all, and I don't even remember whether I had questions like, does it work or does it not work? I mean, I just wanted to explore. So, and I
Wow.
just jumped into that space. So the space, the workshop, how it was designed was to guide us through or take us through various aspects of life. So a pain, bodily pain aspect, a difficult relation aspect, a belief system. So many times our belief systems can be a part of our current family that we are of, but there are belief systems that we sometimes, like for me, I was not enough, or I was not good enough, or um, I was really risk averse. I really don't know how in my life currently I should have been or would have been risk averse, because I couldn't trace any connection to that in this. So I wanted to check that. So belief system was the averseness towards risk. And when we were guided through, and it was mostly in a group, these
Mhm.
kind of sessions are done in group. They're one-to-one also, but what I experienced first up was groups. I experienced a life as um, warrior in a Spanish army.
Wow. You were
And
part of the Spanish army.
yeah, Spanish army. This is about 1400 something. And then I experienced a lifetime of me being a British person in India in the early 1920s. Then there was another lifetime that I recall, which where I was in 1700 somewhere in Jodhpur, India, Rajasthan. I recall, and this was all during that time. Another
Mm.
lifetime of being um, a, a head of a clan somewhere in the very cold Alaskan type region in the 1500s. And
Wow.
these are the glimpses that I was getting during those sessions. But the very interesting thing that happened is that after the sessions were over, I was just in denial. Like, this is a figment of my imagination. This,
Wow. Oh
this,
my God.
this cannot be a possibility. And this is in spite of knowing theoretically all this while, and also helping people understand, helping as in my colleagues used to ask me,
Mm.
how does this happen? How does that happen? Theoretically, I would help uh, clear
My
these doubts for them. But when it came to me,
practically.
no, no,
No,
no.
no.
So interestingly, when I mentioned that part about the Spanish
Mm.
army and the Spanish warrior, I did not see much. What I saw was me wearing a uniform kind of a thing, riding a horse, and we were guided to see where my family lived. So I found my current life's parents as my parents back then. The outfits were very different. I couldn't have possibly um, in
Imagined.
created them. So they popped.
Mm.
And when we checked in the 1400s, the kind of clothes that people would wear in Spain were in line with what I got a glimpse of. So that is
How
someone,
did you feel at that time when you were like, oh my God?
it was very mixed, okay? So there was this one side of me, the logical side of me, which was pulling me away, and the
Mm.
side of me which had started to believe all this while was wanting me to think. So I went to our teacher and I said, this is utter nonsense. I have imagined Spain because I was learning Spanish at that time. So
Oh,
in my
okay.
mind, the thing was, because I'm learning Spanish is where my mind has actually created a lifetime in Spain. So what we were exploring there was a bodily pain. And what came to me very naturally was a pain that I used to have in my shoulder ever since school. Okay, not a regular pain, but every now and then I would begin to experience this pulsating pain here in my shoulder, a coin-sized pain, which
Mm.
would not, it wasn't a spread pain. It was a pain in this particular area only. So when I had started to read Dr. Brian Weiss's books, and there were references of certain things that, if you die in a particular way in a lifetime, then that is something which can manifest in a bodily um, dis-ease, so to say, in the
Mm.
subsequent life. So
Mm.
I had this in my mind that I was killed by being stabbed. And I actually felt
Okay.
and saw that I was stabbed by somebody. So then I was at war again in my head, and I was at war again with, yeah, I said, no, 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 this is just a figment of my imagination. I've imagined all this. So, a couple of questions that she asked me put me into thinking. She said that let's look at, you are saying because you're learning Spanish, is the reason that you have imagined a lifetime in Spain.
Hmm.
Would it, on the other side, be because you already had a connect with the land of Spain, is
Hmm.
what drew you, or is what kind of pulled you towards learning Spanish? Probably. Why, of all
Wow.
the languages, would you only choose Spanish? That was one.
Spanish. Wow.
Got me thinking. The other thing is that when the detailed, there was no water. You know how you go inside. There was a bowl kept where hands could be washed, and that's my younger sister now with my brother there brought in a
Hmm.
tumbler, got me to wash my hands. I couldn't have imagined. There was not a time to probably think logically that pipelines or water were there or not there. It just happened. It just came up as a visual for me.
Hmm.
And another question that she asked me is that you go on a you go on a fantasy trip, right? I said, yeah. So she said, when you go onto a fantasy trip, would you fantasize in so much detail? And the answer was no. So again, it got me thinking. The third thing she said that what came up for you? So what came up is as I was riding a horse, I was going from under a tree and I felt a piercing pain over here, only to realize that I had been stabbed. And it was a rocky terrain. As a result of losing my balance, the stab, etc., I fell from the horse and it was a fatal fall.
Oh,
Now, the stab, the thought who's killed me is the dying thought that I left that life with. I was young, in
wow.
28, 30, around that age. So that is the same area where I used to have this pain ever since. So I thought I'd made it up because I had read so many books by that time. But what happened is about 15, 20 days down the line, um, when I thought about that pain, it wasn't there. And it has not
Oh
been there ever since.
God.
So how do I deny this?
Yeah.
Because what she says is when you relive, you relieve.
Oh.
So I
Oh.
relived, and the pain, which was kind of a trapped pain, which
Hmm.
led to the death in that lifetime, got trapped with the as the soul of the body.
Hmm.
And in this particular lifetime, it manifested as a shoulder pain. Very interestingly, when I shared this story with a colleague of mine, as we were sharing lunch one day, and then I was narrating this to her, and she said, "Nidhi, are you speaking about that pain?" Meaning to say that I may have been constantly doing something unconsciously for people
Yes.
to make
Oh
a
my
video that she,
God.
always does this. So, are you talking
Hmm.
about that pain? I said, yeah, I'm talking about that.
That pain.
That is the pain which is not there. People would tell me, pain hai, go get it checked. It could be spondylitis, it could be whatever. So many things people want to plant thoughts in your head, but
Hmm.
what came out is a completely non-scientific understanding of it in the modern definition of science. And
My
it's gone.
God.
Ever since that, it's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah, I think that is very, very fascinating. I mean, there are two aspects that came out of this thing. That one, when we are like in the past life regression period, we think in images. That
Can
was very interesting. That,
yeah.
you said visuals came in, the words are not coming, the visuals come in. So that I was kind of reading about, how the Akashic records are also kind of, created, you can say. So those are the visuals, I think, which are stored there. So do you think that when you take someone back in the past life, you are kind of accessing the Akashic records, or what is actually happening at the soul level when someone goes into like regression?
And Parul, the soul already has this information within itself.
Mhm.
So let's take, for example, the analogy of a computer, let's say.
Mhm.
You have the data which is stored inside your drives, correct?
Mhm.
And you know how to reach out to which drive, which folder, which file to
Mhm.
come up with the file that you're looking for.
Yes.
So Akashic records, of course, are there. I also feel that all of that is within you only. The soul knows. So it's like a microchip which is moving from one lifetime to another. The soul, it already carries with itself the memories of all the experiences that have happened in its entire
Wow.
journey ever since the journey started.
Hmm.
So if there is a life of a stone per se, for example, it would be
Hmm.
that. Only we do not consciously remember all these things. The design for us,
Hmm.
each time we incarnate or are born, is
Hmm.
that the previous memory is not going to be available to us because we come here for certain agenda. That
Hmm.
agenda needs to be clear. So if you're bombarded constantly with the previous memories, you'd not be able to function.
Yeah. Yeah.
To aid an understanding of this, you would be aware of a lot of children who remember their past lifetime.
Yeah. We
Right?
hear that. Yeah.
You hear that a lot.
Hmm.
There's a huge body of work by Mr. Ian Stevenson, if I'm
Hmm.
getting the name right. He's actually got into children, interacting with children and talking to them about their memories. What has also been found is that by the time children are, say, about 5 years plus, these memories
Hmm.
begin to fade. Why?
Hmm.
Because the current life's experiences begin to take over and these memories are not needed.
Oh.
They have come with an agenda, but this memory would start to interfere. So the design is for us to forget and start
Oh.
afresh.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because that will bring us into the space of being free to act, free
Yeah.
to make choices, not just being
Hmm.
guided or poked
I
by
did.
that
Yeah.
memory. Sometimes
Completely.
these memories linger on for a long time in some people, but majority forget.
Hmm.
So Akashic space, to
Wow.
answer that question, yes, it is an Akashic space. It is somewhere in a different dimension, all of this information is stored, but that is for everybody. In your soul, your specific information are present. So,
Hmm.
through past
Microchip.
experiences, these are accessed.
Yeah, I think that example was great. Like you said, that the microchip has everything it needs to function, but when it's put in a new computer, it's not going to pull the previous information. It'll kind of build new memories, so
Yeah,
to
if you
speak.
want to pull out new information, you can, but if
Hmm.
it has more space, you would keep adding more files
Adding.
to it and bring into reference whatever is needed as and when.
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Wow. I mean, that is really profound because, we kind of tend to see these. I'm talking from the skeptic point of view. They're
Mm.
like, this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. But yeah, can you kind of share something that you helped someone with, some sort of healing or some sort of transformation? Like when they came in, what state were they in, and when they came out of it, how did their, life transform and how did they feel about what had happened? Something interesting.
I'll come to this. Before that, I'll go into something that you had said earlier about visually seeing.
Hmm.
We need to remember that we are not just visual sense people, we are five senses people.
Hmm.
So all of these, for some people, visuals are enhanced and visuals are the easiest to relate to. But
Hmm.
I've had cases where people are saying, I'm not able to see anything, but I think I'm a little boy. I think I am in China. I think
Wow.
I can understand that people in the army are and this is how the conversation is going on. People in the army are wanting me to go, but my father is ailing. I don't want to leave him. So there is a knowing that we must remember. That is, so when we say the memories are already present within us,
Hmm.
that comes as a knowing. What happens, which is counterproductive to these sessions, is our constant conditioning, which says seeing is believing.
Oh,
That
yes.
conditioning becomes counterproductive to the experience that one can have as opposed to say, I'm not able to see anything. I'm not able to see anything. So that is when you guided to help them understand that you are more than just the visual sense. You're
Yes.
having an
Definitely.
experience auditorily, you're having an experience through kinesthetically, through skin, feels,
Mhm.
the touch and feel, and whatever the feelings that are generated as an experience would have happened inside. So,
Mhm.
So people who just want to see,
Hmm.
takes, I mean, it takes a little time for them to orient themselves with the idea that, okay, there's more to me than just seeing.
All right. So are there like multiple ways in which you can perceive these memories?
Oh, yes, we can perceive them, we begin to trust them, and by the visuals start coming. So the fact
Mhm.
is, the approach has to be with a lot of trust.
Hmm.
You would go to a person for facilitation, only the person that you trust.
Yeah.
So when you go with a trust, you begin to anyway surrender.
Hmm.
So similarly, coming to that story that you asked for, or a real life experience that you asked for, there's this very interesting conversation that I used to have with somebody that I know, and when she got to know that I'm doing past life regression, she says she's based out of China, and she would say that whenever I'm in India next, I would want you to, take me through this journey. I said,
Wow.
great. A great believer, and I would have anyway loved to do a session with her.
Mhm.
Next, when I hear from her, she was in India, and she says, "I'm in India, but for a very short visit, I have been detected with goiter, and there is a surgical procedure that needs to happen starting Monday. So I'm sorry, I did say that I want to experience, and I wanted to meet you guys also, but this time it's not going to be the time
Mhm.
for us to meet.
Awesome.
The next time." My next question to her was, what is it that is bothering you that you're unable to express? So she got very curious. She said, what made you ask that question? I said, I get a feeling that something is going on within you which you're not able to express. And as a result, your throat is getting impacted. So we were talking on a
Wow.
Saturday. The surgical procedure was on a Monday. This is about 2018 I'm talking about.
Oh.
So she said, now you've got me thinking, and we've got one day in between. Do you have time? And
Wow.
I said, of course I have time. And I was to travel that evening, but yeah, I
Mhm.
have time during the day. So she said that what she revealed to me was that ever since she'd taken up that assignment, which is a great big assignment in
Mhm.
the country, and she was like heading organizations. She was always
Wow.
at the country head level of the organization. So
Mhm.
she'd taken up an assignment with an organization, an MNC, but her location was China. Uh, 4 years back to that time,
Mhm.
she had a colleague of hers who was elevated as her boss. And as a result of that, her position and her growth. So a colleague getting elevated as your boss, her
Mhm.
position, her growth was getting stopped somewhere. She was a very,
Mhm.
very powerfully potential person in that space. So obviously something would have started churning up
Yeah.
inside her. She says everything seemingly is normal. So I cannot go ahead and argue on the outside, but I feel I'm not able to express this. And ever since that, the thyroid had started acting up.
Oh.
So that clicked with her. And when we did the session, what started unfolding was something unfathomable. So she experienced a lifetime in Rajasthan as a very young, bright, bubbly woman. And
Mhm.
same current life parents as her parents, especially the father, she was able to kind of really connect that. She
Mhm.
married to another business family at a very young age, as would happen in the country at
Mhm.
about 18, 19, but very
Mhm.
vivacious. And she, and I was kind of asking her, guiding her, that this family that you're married to, who are you able to recognize in your current life?
Mhm.
So the husband of that life, and very wealthy family, from one wealthy family to another. So everything
Mhm.
that was perfect. Husband, she could not identify in the current life. There was a mother-in-law she could not identify. There's a husband's younger sister she could not identify. Husband's younger brother. When it came to husband's younger brother, she said, aha. I said, we found a point. So when I asked her, I said, what who have you found? She says, he's my boss of the current life.
My
Right?
God.
So the
Wow.
brother-in-law of a previous lifetime, say about in 1800 or something, from what I remember, to the current time, when he's a French guy and they meet in China.
My God. Whew.
I asked her, I said, okay, what is this? Let's move to another important event. Let's understand your relationship with your
Mm,
brother-in-law better. The brother-in-law was not a nice man and
mm,
uh, of a very loose character. And
mm,
as would also fit of a very rich royal family, and therefore
mm.
you can do just about whatever. So
Never.
everything would fit into the scenario.
Mm,
We'll have all social reasons of explaining these things. So she found that he was misbehaving with the servant's daughter once, and
oh.
she intervened. And obviously, if she intervened, she became or she came became at she generated a conflict within the male ego.
Yes. How did you do that?
How
She's
or how could you, or who
how
are
could
you?
you?
You
Mm,
should stay in your position. You're
in
not
your position.
somebody. So
Yeah.
patriarchy, etc. would be.
Mhm.
She said, I think I made an enemy. So as we progressed
Wow.
further, I asked her, so what are you doing? She says, I seem to be on a swing and it's the afternoon and I'm sleeping on a swing in
Uh,
a living room. I said, okay, what's happening? She says, I'm being strangled. I said, okay, who's strangling you? She says, my eyes are closed. I don't know who's strangling me. So it's so found out. And she said, I think I'm dead. I said, okay, what makes you think that you're dead? She said, I'm above and I'm able to see my body on the swing below.
um,
You know how the swings are, which are made to look like sofas, but they are just swinging.
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So
Bench of a swing.
benches basically, but in the living setup,
Living.
within the room. So and I asked her, I said, who's killed you? She says, I don't know who's killed you, but I know the feeling of those hands. Now we don't know who's killed her. I said, okay, so then what? She said, I can actually float up to those hands and I'll know that they are the hands. So she says, all right. I said, all right, okay, float up. And she floated to those hands and she found those hands. She said, I can see the hands. I was, whose hands are they? She said, I don't know whose hands they are, but they seem to be a man's hand. And okay, fine. So bit by bit, we recreated or created her or brought out from a memory who it could be. The hand belonging to the elbow to the shoulder, shoulder to the neck, and to the face. And it was the brother-in-law.
Oh my
That's why I just
God.
put blessing over there.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So when she realized, and she had these two different extremes to now understand. So I asked her, and she's in deep trance, and she and I are talking. I said, okay, tell me, what is going on? So she says, I don't seem to have a sense of balance. I said, balance of what nature? She says, balance of expression. So I said, how do you say so? This side, I'm just too vocal and I'm not thinking before speaking. And this side, when I say this side, is her version, her current self in China. If she's not able to speak or express, so either I'm too vocal or I'm just not expressing. I
Mm.
need balance. I said, and what makes you think so? She says, this is the person who's actually come here to teach me to speak in a balanced way and express, understand how, and teach me how to express better. So I said, okay,
Wow.
so you don't have a problem with this man? She said, no, I don't have a problem with this man. In fact, I need to go back and talk to him like an adult and not run away, as if I don't have. She said, I have everything going for me. But if I do not express myself well, it's actually beginning to appear that I'm not fit for that job that I'm doing.
My
What
God.
she did next was, to my dismay, canceled the surgery the next day and she didn't go for it. I said, what is it that you're going to do? She said, I do not think I need the surgery because I know what is bothering me now. And if I were to do the surgery, the doctors are not giving me any guarantee anyway. They cut me open and I don't have any guarantee that I'll be all right. So they
Oh.
do a biopsy, they want to do all of those procedures.
Mm.
Although this is not something that is recommended, okay? But she took
Yeah.
that call and she went back and she started to. I was very nervous, okay? I mean,
Yeah.
she holidayed for a week in India and she went back. And I didn't know how to approach it because I was very scared. I said, what if, the thing has, blown out of proportions and her health is deteriorating or whatever. So very nervously, I reached out to her after about a month or so, about 2 months, I think, and I generally wanted to know what's going on because there was radio silence.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nidhi, you called. I'm so glad you called or you message actually. I'm so glad you messaged. And, the things have moved around so much and um, the nodules in the throat have gone down and medicine has been removed, has been reduced
Wow.
by 50%. That's
Oh,
what the hell is she
wow.
talking about? Is she real? Is it
My
really
God.
happening? So I have also been from a skeptic space.
Mm,
I don't just won't just have jumped in into something saying, forget about all medication, forget about science, all of that wouldn't work, come
mm,
here, all of this. So I did not know. I didn't know what was coming my way because I was
yeah.
worried because of the silence that followed. And she, no, 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 I'm very well, very well. In fact, my weight has also begun to streamline and I'm healthier than before. The medicines have reduced. The thyroid gland has started to function. I thought, like, really, it's happening?
Yeah.
More, it was an equal, I would say, while things were happening health-wise for her, my internal belief system is changing. So I felt that her arrival at a juncture in my life has also helped me believe that there is something which is very far beyond and our internal ability to understand that the dis-ease here. So
Mm,
for a long time, the dis-ease of not being able to express had started to manifest as a disease in her body eventually.
mm.
The constant nag or nagging
Nah.
thoughts that she was having had started to manifest like that. The moment that got changed, when she relived the past, the
Mm,
symptoms of or what would have also happened is with the advent of that man or arrival of that man in her life, some subconscious memory would have gotten triggered as
yeah.
being strangled. There was one real life strangled, and this time also was a strangulation of a different nature, emotional
Differently. Yes.
strangulation.
Yeah.
So that memory could have been also triggered for her.
Mm.
And I feel that somewhere things happen also because it is time for them to get addressed.
Absolutely. So
And
this
that
kind of yeah. So I was saying that, like you said, there was a physical strangulation and then there was a mental or emotional strangulation. And see, it was the same person who had come back into the soul's life because they had like a contract. And so the person, and she learned. I think that was the transformation which I kind of, felt like the transformation was for her because she learned the lesson that
Mhm.
this is what I'm supposed to do. So you think that, even past life regression, not only does it heal the physical body, I think it helps the soul kind of learn the lessons we're supposed to learn, like the hard way. I would
very
say that.
important thing here, Parul. The first question that you asked me, who are the right candidates? It's
Hmm.
people like her, who are able to pragmatically think. Otherwise, anybody with a very myopic view of looking at life would have said
Hmm.
that this man has come into my life to make me into a misery all over again.
Yes.
And he had killed me back then, and he's back into my life to kill me again emotionally.
Again.
So yeah, so that is the fitment of character or personalities that you see, or can you say that can come into this space or should come into this space, are the
Mhm.
ones who are ready to open their way or view or the way that they view things around. So it's
Mhm.
not just one way of looking at things because your horizons really broaden after this.
Mhm.
And I was so impressed, and I was just so, first thing I was so grateful with him that it's actually in the right direction. Otherwise, I was very very scared before sending that message to her. After some time, when we interacted again, is when she said that that man has automatically, very naturally left the organization.
The lesson was learned. Oh
The
my
lesson was learned.
God.
She was the
Beautiful.
only next obvious choice for that role. So
Yeah.
it was not about um, creating misery in her life. It was actually to enable her to evolve. And
Yes.
evolution is a painful process.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Absolutely. I think this is like really interesting because, as human beings, people always have this like, why does this happen to me? So
Hmm.
they have the victim mentality. For
Hmm.
me, like personally, I always think that this is happening for me. I
Correct.
never say this is happening to me
Hmm.
because when I say to me, I'm becoming the victim. Oh my God, things are not working out and all that stuff. But if things are happening for me, the universe is kind of working with me to put me in a place so that I can learn my lesson, put a check mark, and like the lady transformed into something even more beautiful. So I
Hmm.
think past life regression is not only helpful in healing the bodily pains or the traumas that the body has, but it is also helpful in kind of, the soul learning the lessons that it really wants to, because you are kind of confronted with why is this happening in my life. So I think the why being answered for many, many people. In fact, in today's society, Didi, you see like, instant gratification. Oh, this person has that much. I don't have you. So I think we are kind of so it's a big, big mess that we've made. So, when things like past life regression is helping because I can make sense of like why is this happening for me rather than why is it happening to me. So I can learn and I can,
Very
progress.
good said.
The
Very.
transformation, I think.
And I think it's about time for the transformation of that soul also to happen is also a reason why certain conditions would be created such
Yes.
that one would
Mm,
venture in this direction as well. So I guess each one of us is on a different pace and stage of our learning and growth, soul-wise, and
mm,
it's not so. It therefore this cannot be a universal experience for
yeah.
just about everybody.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
since you also brought in the question about or thought about Akashic records,
Hmm.
the difference between this and the Akashic will be that there, in the Akashic record, somebody else would be accessing information on your behalf. Here, it's the person experiencing.
Mm.
So the
That's a
knowledge is from within coming. That is a guidance which is being channeled from by somebody for you. And
okay.
it then also aligns with the ability of that person to help you understand in the right way. So
Mm.
that is somebody else becoming the medium for you. Here
Hmm.
you're yourself. So a lot of times, even in past life regression, people have access to Akashic spaces.
Oh,
Say we are
wow.
in front of a big hall and it looks like a library, and it's like every version is different. So every
Mm-hmm.
person would have a different way of explaining what it looks like. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a lot of times spontaneously people will say, okay, we're not in the body anymore. And I think I'm floating and I'm floating and I'm floating and I'm standing in front of this huge space. You ask them, where is that space? Not on the earth. Where we will not be able to see it from the earth. It's not a visible space. It's not something that humans can directly see. So people have access to spontaneously by themselves also. So there is this space, dimensional space which exists
Mm-hmm.
where all the records are kept. I feel this would be essentially, if we are thinking about our spiritual correlation, this could be
Mm-hmm.
the board of Chitragupta, who's the record
Yeah.
keeper.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because yeah, they kind of, they always used to tell us he writes everything down, whatever you are doing, everything is being recorded. So essentially that definitely makes a lot of sense. We need to do a podcast on that, specifically just the Akashic records. That's the next one that we're going to do definitely. But I think this is like really interesting. So have you ever seen kind of patterns emerge? Like I know you've done like hundreds of regressions. So are there specific patterns that people kind of, follow when they are kind of in regression, or what kind of, is there any common link?
Okay. There are two things which emerge. One
Hmm.
is when you say pattern, yes, patterns. For example, um, a person who is, what is a pattern? Pattern is the same thing repeating itself again. So people,
Hmm.
you generally you hear people say that, there's a pattern in my life. I always attract difficult bosses,
Hmm.
right? That can be a
Yes.
pattern. Somebody who says that wherever I go, I always find tough experiences, a pattern. Wherever
Hmm.
wherever I am, I'm not able to speak in situations where I should have spoken. Is a pattern that a person has identified about himself or herself.
Hmm.
So the patterns that means something repeating again and again. So similarly
Hmm.
for past lifetimes or lifetimes, patterns do repeat. Like what kind of patterns are? For example, somebody has given up uh, in terms of living life fully.
Mm-hmm.
Some event happens, and the person goes into a mode of saying nothing works, nothing will work, and this is how it is going to be. So I did come across such a, I mean, when I did a session with somebody, this was somebody who told me that she's never been able to experience joy in life. Now, joy
Mm-hmm.
is what? Joy is your just feeling a certain amount of happiness just on simple things in life, not something that drastically or has to be completely profound to
Mm-hmm.
just by looking at a leaf, uh,
Yeah.
or a flower blooming, or just the air on your face or the wind in your face. Certain simple joys. And she's a lady who had everything going for her. Family, wise, husband, wife, very, very nice person, children doing so well for themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very beautiful unit. She says, I
Mm-hmm.
have everything, but what is it the reason? What is the reason I'm not able to experience joy in life? So when we did a past life regression, she uh, immediately experienced a life somewhere in the 1800s in England. And
Mm-hmm.
she was about to get married. And she tells me, I have a feeling he wouldn't come.
Oh.
I said, what makes you say so? She said, no, I think I get a feeling that he wouldn't come. And as she was going towards, I mean, getting ready to go to church, they get a message saying that that person has had an accident and has died in a car crash or some.
My
She had this
God.
inner knowing which told her,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, no, she's no more. And they got news just that she was barely 19. So from that age of 19, she gave up on herself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it depression as such, but
Mm-hmm.
she was just not participating in life. It was just going through life. She
Yeah.
died at a very old age. She died in her 90s.
Mm-hmm.
She was looked after by her younger brother, who is her current life son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she did not participate. It was just whatever was happening was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And she died as an old woman. She died a lonely life, which was of her making, is what she said. I
Mm-hmm.
only did not make any sense. Then another life that she spontaneously went to in the same session was, I'm a young girl. I'm sitting. I love dressing up. I've got these lovely curls, and in this life, she doesn't like to dress up at all, or she didn't before this
Oh.
dimmed. And
Mm-hmm.
she says, I'm just sitting, and I love jewelry. And in this life, she did not love jewelry at all. So I'm going to the fair. I said, where are you? She said, this seems like Greece. And then suddenly she says that there's this person who's looking at her, and she's getting very charmed by the idea that she's an object of interest or person of interest for somebody. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get talking, and this is the same man who died in the England life.
Oh my God. The same soul connection.
Same, and this is the previous lifetime. So this is about 1500s. That England lifetime was 1800 something.
Mm-hmm.
But she was able to correlate. That's the thing to marvel about you, that about anybody who's in that session, that you're able to tell. So she tells me, the person that I was talking about who died in the lifetime that we just experienced, he's the same person.
Wow.
Connection which was even before.
Yeah.
In that life, that person had said she used to love dressing up, and he had said that I'm going to get you the biggest and the best diamond ring, and he was a trader. And what was the trade means in those times? Go through lonely patches of jungles
Mm-hmm.
in carts and carriages, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
prone to attacks by robbers.
Mm-hmm.
And he never arrived.
My
So,
God.
so pattern
Yeah. He's never coming. Like
never
she
arrived.
loves someone,
So
they're not coming back.
yeah.
Wow.
So similarly, so this is something that we finished the session, and I realized that she got lots of answers. And lots of answers, she should be able to understand that um, this is it. So if she needs to do something, this particular pattern needs to be broken as giving up on herself, because she said that even when I was a little girl, um, her sisters used to be very joyful, etc. But she would just never understand what joy meant. So she was carrying this from the sense of joylessness. And in
Mm.
that life also she, um, oh, in the current life, husband approached her father saying that I'd like to marry your daughter because she had given up on herself in the Greece life when this particular person did not arrive.
Mm.
Again, she had a family. The current life son was her son in that life. Nice things going for her, but she continued to give up on herself. So one day they found, the husband and the son, when they came back, they found that she'd killed herself. And
Oh my
she was still
God.
in that connection of that, the person that she had lost. She was not aligned with what she had,
Mm.
what was arriving in her life. So her husband, her son, have been participating in her life a lot of lifetimes.
Lifetimes, yeah.
Lot of lifetimes. So these were two lives where we saw a pattern, and I was under the impression that now a pattern has come to the fore, and therefore she will make conscious efforts to break this pattern.
Mm.
She said, Nidhi, there's something more. I said, I think you gotta, you're getting addicted to the idea of doing past life regression sessions. Let's not go that way. She said, no, Nidhi, there's something really on. So we did multiple number of sessions only to find many such lives where giving up continue to happen like that.
My
Either
God.
taking one's life or not participating in life. Now, ultimately, we went to the point where I said, tell me where it all began. So it began in a particular lifetime where there were tribals, and there were these two young people who were in love in a tribal setup somewhere in Africa. In what she even says that
Oh,
would be the BC time. Okay, that
oh
far
my
back
God.
she went. So
That
she
far back.
experienced that far back. She experienced some 16 odd lifetimes during the course of very similar, all patterns. So where did it all start? What is the reason to all these patterns? She was abducted by the tribe from another different tribe. She was abducted, and he went after her to save her. He was not able to save her. As she was dying, he takes a dagger and he kills himself. And he says, maybe never meet again because I have not been able to save you.
Oh my God.
So
Wow.
it was something which I found in this particular space was set by their own selves that maybe never meet again. Then they would meet, they would depart, meet, depart, meet, depart, meet, depart.
Oh my God. That is
So I said, do
amazing.
you know this person in the current life? She says, yeah, I know, but very fleetingly. Not so they finally they had decided that we
They're
will
not going to meet.
not going to meet. So I think by this time they had arrived at this that we are not going to meet and we are okay with not meeting. But the
Hmm.
that it continued to travel as a pattern for her. So that initial thing is something that we did something during the session to break that or dissolve that energy, which was that energy of stuckness, which was
Hmm.
creating a lot of trauma for her. We don't know what it must be for the other side
Yeah.
because we have no clue. But for her,
Hmm.
it was working in a very negative way. So like
Hmm.
this, it kind of changed, and she was she was able to break out of that, and she called me. She said, "I think I'm feeling happier."
Wow. I
Feeling
think amazing.
That is the
That's
pattern. So that is one way
hmm.
of seeing patterns, and we understand that patterns need to be broken. So it doesn't necessarily have to be so many sessions for
Hmm.
everybody. But the fact that once you identify the pattern and you're doing the same thing,
Hmm.
then if we make conscious efforts, because we've been given the intellect to choose also to make conscious efforts.
Hmm.
If we make conscious efforts, then this life, if you've identified that same pattern is occurring in this life also, then we can make efforts to break that. So that is one. The other thing is when we have, say, done something to somebody,
Hmm. Yeah.
which so the give and take part of it,
Hmm.
as you sow, so shall you receive, right? So the cause and the effect part of it.
Hmm.
Even patterns are causes and you're seeing the effect. But I'm saying of a different nature altogether, that you harmed somebody
Mm-hmm.
and
Knowingly.
experiencing pain in this life. So the
Mm-hmm.
experiencing of pain of an emotional nature, or for this lady, the earlier one was also a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to speak or not being able to use your voice wisely was a pattern. If I can give you an example of what can be a flip to it. There's a lady who came to me and said, I just never, I'm not able to manage my finances such that I'm not able to keep a job. I'm not, whatever business I start doesn't work. And I really am very tight as far as finances or money is concerned. So I want to understand, because she's got a nice, bright personality. What is the reason that it doesn't work for her?
Mm-hmm.
In the past life regression, we found that she was a 52-year-old man and galloping on a horse with a big sack behind him. And I said, "What are you doing?" So, I've just murdered and killed my boss, and I'm going to marry the love of my life. So, the money that he had procured was by killing somebody. The that abundance that he, in that lifetime, he thought that he had gained, uh, created a negative kind of a ripple or impact or effect, which could only be learned through paucity.
Mm-hmm.
Value of money, the immediately wanting to go rich, or grow rich by killing somebody, was a deep karma created. The
Mm-hmm.
repercussion, or the lesson, I wouldn't say repercussion, the lesson could have learned only by experiencing what it means to go through paucity
Yeah.
of that,
Mm-hmm.
or for the self. That is when she realized, when she was able to correlate, that I disrespected the element of money and I killed because of that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the lack of it is killing, is a very killing feeling,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
the words
Absolutely.
also, with which
Mm-hmm.
it's killing her. The lack of it is killing. Post which she started to change the way she approached money. Even for a small rupee, she would cringe or think 10 times before spending. Of course, wise
Yeah.
spending of money is not something that I'm not saying that one doesn't need to spend wisely, but she had become very close-fisted as far
Yeah.
as money was concerned.
Wiser kind of a
She
person.
just started to open her. She says, even if somebody comes home and who picks up my bottle of perfume and sprays on herself, I cringe that I've spent money on this and why are you wasting my perfume? So
My
it
God.
became to that level. That is
Yeah.
her decoding or her
Mm.
analysis of it herself, which began changing for her as she experienced this. That,
Wow.
so this is a give and take kind of a thing. And the earlier ones are
That's a fact.
taken
Mm.
too.
I think it's just like, a past life regression is much more than past life regression. This is what I'm thinking. We've
That's
just kind of
opening
given
up
it
a
a very,
spiritual
yeah.
awareness.
Yes, we've just given a very generic term like past life regression, but it is more like, opening up your eyes to possibilities, that how you can use your soul's gifts in order to identify your patterns or identify your bad karmas, and see how you can kind of try to balance them out in this particular lifetime. I think that is something. And again, like you said early on with one person, that maybe the circumstances were right for that person to actually balance out some karma and find that pattern, break that pattern. That is why she came to you, and that is why she connected with you at that particular time. So I
That
think,
people would be
mm,
guided from within. They would be
yeah,
guided. There is an inner compass that guides you towards finding answers or finding direction. And somebody just probably comes to aid that process. And that is how facilitation of that particular um, understanding helps or happens for that person.
I think when you started, like when I was saying, past life therapist, and
Mhm.
when you said I'm more of a facilitator, I think listening to you, definitely this is more like a facilitation session, because you are just guiding them. So is there a way to differentiate between like false memories or the real ones? Are you able to kind of, if your client is saying that, I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that, and things like that. So is there a way that you can kind of discern that maybe this is something which is not real? I know that that might be a little difficult, but is definitely you've done so many, sessions. So is there a way to kind of identify like these are false memories, false starts, and these ones are like the real ones, which they are kind of, coming
Difficult
up with?
part. How when we say real versus fake, it is not my experience. So I cannot, I'm nobody to say that it is fake. And it's something that somebody is experiencing.
Mm,
Sometimes what happens is that different lifetime memories begin to overlap with each other. So sometimes somebody might say that, okay, it seems like France of the 1800s, and suddenly I have gone there in a flight.
mm,
Now, the logic that sets in that the flights were not there until the 19,
mm,
1915, 1916.
mm.
That was 1914, 1915. So the logical mind, even that person will start to create a conflict
Conflict.
thing.
Mm,
1800 flights. My point is that let the experience unfold, because sometimes when we get into the ifs and buts of it, even with the person, that's my guidance to the person, stay with the experience, just tell me what you're experiencing. The fact
mm,
is that if somebody starts into that, if the logical mode of calculating in the head, oh, 1800, I think I'm saying the date wrong and all of that, then that means that the trance is getting broken, because
oh,
the memories which are there deeper in the subconscious or the unconscious
mm,
are memories which can overlap sometimes. So if you're putting a logical understanding to that, then that means you're not in the deep unconscious or subconscious, you're coming into
mm,
the conscious zone, which is
mm,
not hypnotic trance. Plus, it's important to understand that a lot of things which come out as feelings
mm,
are not something that can be faked.
yeah.
So we need to understand how, so that is how the guidance further happens in the facilitation part of it, that
Mm,
stay with what you're feeling and go with what is coming up. Help me understand more with the insights that you're deriving rather than just going into the factual details of it all.
oh,
A lot of times when these factual insights come, when we Google and we check, um,
mm,
we do get instances about the the lifestyle or the kind of utensils which were used during
mm,
those times, or the architectural kind of evidences. Having said that, a lot of times, the the people think that they may come up with lifetimes which are all going to be present historically for us to
mm,
check. But
check.
how many times would it so happen that you would be a historically significant figure?
Yeah.
A
Absolutely.
person experienced a lifetime where this one was a very small farmer and
Mm.
died of a snake bite. Now, how do you validate such things?
Yes.
You
Mm,
have to go ahead with the insight that has come up, because the insight that has come up will have some correlation somewhere.
mm,
So if somebody had died, and so this lady told me that I'm a farmer. My wife does not trust me much because I don't do much. I just sit in the farm, and I'm a very lethargic person. And this time is a very overactive person, like wife. She has to do
balancing.
a
Yeah.
lot. So it's a,
Mm,
how should you not trust it? Where do you
yeah.
find evidence of somebody who was like a farmer who was a lazy person who died of a snake bite? Would have.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
these things need to be approached with a lot of trust and a lot of
mm,
respect for whatever is emerging. Because if you investigate more, the point, what is the need of a facilitation? Otherwise, somebody could have meditatively experienced a life as a farmer being killed by a snake bite. Certain
mm,
people
yeah.
spontaneously have these things. I don't know. This is not me. This didn't look like me, but I felt there was another life where
Mm,
snake bite killed. Now, the point of facilitation is you ask questions. Take a
Hmm.
person around that scenario to get more insights about it, precisely what your role is. So my
Yeah.
role over there is just to be that person who's asking questions so that insights become more and more relevant to what is being the point, or what is the point of investigation in the reason with which we ventured into a session in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel we need to cast the doubts aside and forget about real memories versus fake memories. But because
Mhm.
if they overlap, obviously you would say lying.
Hmm. Yeah, I think as a therapist or as the facilitator, I correct myself. I think that is the most important thing, having faith and trust that what the client is experiencing is real.
Yeah.
So that's where I think you can kind of guide them more, go deeper. And that's when, like you said, the insights come. And I think that's where the transformation happens and the healing happens.
So,
So I think a lot of viewers who've listened to all these interesting, memories of other people, they might be kind of interested in getting their own stuff done. Like, so is there like any technique, or is there, first of all, should anyone try to do this on their own, or is it better to always have someone like a facilitator available who can kind of guide them?
um, Dr. Brian Weiss's books.
Mhm.
If I were to remember the name, I'm forgetting the name of the book,
I
but
read one, Only Love is Real. I read that book, Dr. Brian
Messages from
Weiss.
the Masters, I think that is the name of the book, in
I've
which
read
he
that.
has some scripts at the back, which he says that if you want, you can audio tape them on your own and just run that audio tape for yourself and experience the state of trance. And as the tape would guide you, you can
Oh,
actually surrender to the experience that is unfolding. So, to answer that, yes, one can do that, but it is very important to understand where and when. You can't be listening to that tape while driving.
yeah. Oh,
You
that
can't
would
be
be
listening to that tape while
catastrophic.
working in the kitchen. Okay.
Yeah.
You need to remember what is hazard and what is safe. So that kind of difference needs to be understood. Yes, when it's time for you to meditate, or when it is time for you to just spend time at home, you're all by yourself and just spending
Mhm.
time. That is something that, and this is not for everybody. So please, only if you truly want to experience it, that's how he guides it. Guides also. Facilitation, I believe, is important, Parul, specifically when somebody is investigating, because it's not going to be possible for that person to ask questions in a guided scenario,
Mm,
in just a plain simple recorded guided scenario. If you're wanting to
mm,
dive deeper, you have to go around the experience.
yes.
What so in a guided experience, it'll be only that much. Okay, go find out what your home is like, find out the reason that you died in that life, find out something about your experiences. That
Hmm.
helps also, because when I do workshops and when people experience that in a group, now a group does not enable a two-way communication.
Hmm.
So that has to be silence from one side and facilitation from the other. So we
Mm,
discuss the sessions in the end. Each one, the experience unfolds in a different way. So when we do this in a one-to-one scenario is when we want to go deeper. When
mm,
when the issues are such that just a simple insight would not help.
mhm,
Needs to be aided by somebody. So when it's being aided by somebody, you can get a direction. So many times you've got to toggle, jump, go before, go after, go to the childhood, go to the time. So
yeah,
that is where facilitation is needed, especially when we want to delve deeper into that experience. Because
mm,
if you're on your own, you will not be able to, because
yeah.
you're on your own. And if you think you can find more, then that means you're using your conscious mind.
Conscious brain, yeah.
If you're using your conscious mind, then you're not in trance.
Trance, exactly.
So then that is not what will give the actual insights of our previous lifetime.
All right. So I think this was absolutely an amazing, amazing session. So if definitely people, you said you kind of conduct workshops and you also do one-to-one sessions. So we'll definitely put all those links in the description
Yeah,
in the podcast.
thank you.
I think like past life regression would be helpful to a lot of people, especially in today's world, because everyone is kind of struggling with at least, some form or the other of, trauma, mental, physical, emotional. And I mean, listening to all the things that you talked about and the experiences that other people had. So, I think somewhere all the listeners will also be able to, find themselves somewhere in those experiences, like I did, for that matter. So I think, Didi, this was like a wonderful, wonderful session. And definitely we'll have more of these. And the Akashic Records, definitely that is in my mind. That's on my to-do list now. So thank you so much for sharing all this wonderful information about past life regression with us. And I'm sure that people learned a lot. I learned a lot, so many, different facets to it. Otherwise, it's just like, you look at it from one way, in one direction. But
True.
now you see it like it's like white light entering a prism and
Yeah.
then splitting into like so many different colors. So I think for a lot of us, this definitely helped. And thank you so much for spending your time, and thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thank you.
And happening and everything.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.